Welcome, chosen ones. The most powerful revenge isn't what you do to them, it is what you refuse to let them do to you. Here is the truth. Nobody tells you. The universe has a wicked sense of humor. It lets people underestimate you completely. It lets the lies spread like wildfire across every conversation. It lets them believe they have destroyed your reputation, crushed your spirit, won the battle. And then, without warning, without announcement, everything flips. The script reverses. Suddenly, the same voices that mocked you go silent. The same eyes that rolled at your name cannot stop staring in disbelief. The same people who placed bets on your breakdown are now whispering among themselves. How did they stay that calm? How did they not crack? Psychologists confirm that in high conflict situations, most people lose complete emotional control within the first 90 seconds of confrontation. 90 seconds. That is all it takes for the average person to transform dignity into disaster, composure into chaos, character into carnage. But you didn't break. You held yourself together while madness surrounded you from every angle, from every direction, from sources you never expected. You refused to let their dysfunction hijack your character. You kept your integrity steady while they were performing spiritual gymnastics just to extract a reaction from you, and that is what truly disturbed them. Not that you survived the attack, not that you made it through the storm, but that you did it with such effortless grace. You made self-control look cinematic. You didn't just handle the toxic situation, you orchestrated a silent masterpiece right in front of your enemies without lifting a single emotional finger. Think about it. They were throwing tantrums, and you were out there throwing grace like confetti. They were losing their minds, and you were finding your center. They were broadcasting their chaos, and you were embodying peace. The contrast was so stark it became impossible to ignore. People are impressed not because you played the game perfectly, but because you refused to play their game at all. You didn't let their dysfunction drag you into their dimension. You kept your soul clean in a contaminated environment, and that takes a kind of mastery most people will never reach in their lifetime. Let's break down exactly why everyone is so profoundly shaken by how you handled that disgusting situation. Because what you did wasn't normal. It was transcendent. Number one, you didn't react. You responded strategically. You didn't react. You responded strategically. There is a universe of difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is emotional. It is instant. It is handing your power directly to whoever provoked you, gift-wrapped and delivered on a silver platter. But responding, that is calculated. That is wisdom in slow motion. That is power under complete control. When they came at you expecting an explosion, you gave them silence. When they wanted chaos, you delivered composure. When they anticipated a meltdown, you provided a masterclass. You understood something fundamental that most people never grasp. Energy flows where attention goes. Every single time you refuse to react, you starve their manipulation of the exact fuel it needs to survive and spread. You didn't get pulled into their dimension of drama because you recognized the game being played from the very first move. They needed your anger to validate their lies. They needed your tears to confirm their twisted narrative. They needed your breakdown to justify their cruelty. Instead, you gave them absolutely nothing to work with. You restructured the entire energy of the situation by staying anchored in your truth while they flailed in their fiction. That is not just emotional intelligence, that is spiritual warfare disguised as peace. Think about it deeply. When someone attacks you and you remain utterly calm, it forces them to confront their own reflection. Your stillness becomes a mirror showing them exactly who they are, stripped of all pretense and justification. And most people simply cannot handle that level of raw truth about themselves. Here is what happened in real time. While they were busy creating their narrative about you, you were busy becoming someone their narrative couldn't touch. That is the ultimate power reversal. Number two, you made dignity your defense mechanism. You didn't need to prove anything to anyone. Your presence alone, your composure alone, Your unwavering poise spoke entire volumes. Here is what caught everyone completely off guard. You walked away from that battlefield with your head held impossibly high and your spirit fully intact. People expected fireworks. They wanted a dramatic showdown. They anticipated you would either fight fire with fire or collapse under the unbearable pressure. You did neither. Instead, you demonstrated something revolutionary. Self-respect is the ultimate power move. Your calm wasn't passive or weak. It was precise and intentional. You understood something crucial. Engaging in shouting matches only legitimizes the chaos. Responding to every accusation only amplifies the noise. Defending yourself against lies only gives those lies more airtime. So you stayed grounded while they spiraled out of control. Every single attempt to humiliate you ended up exposing them instead. The contrast became so obvious it was almost comedic. You showed that dignity isn't about avoiding conflict or running away from confrontation. It is about refusing to descend into dysfunction just because someone else has chosen to live there permanently. You turned restraint into your greatest weapon, and it cut deeper than any words ever could have. People are still talking about it. How you made peace look like power. How you made silence sound like thunder. How you made walking away look like winning. That is the kind of impression that lasts forever. Number 3. You proved integrity wins even when playing against deceit. In a world that often rewards manipulation, you chose truth. And still came out on top. You didn't twist narratives to gain sympathy. You stood on authenticity, and it worked. That alone shook people because they were convinced your honesty would be your downfall. They underestimated the power of staying clean in a dirty situation. While they were playing games, you were playing the long game. You knew that temporary validation means nothing compared to permanent peace of mind. You let your actions do the talking. No explanations, no justifications, just consistent character. And when the dust settled, it became crystal clear who was operating from truth and who was running from it. Your integrity became the evidence that no lie could overcome. People saw that you didn't need to fight dirty to win. You just needed to stay committed to your values while everyone else compromised theirs. Number 4, you understood that silence speaks louder than explanation. When accusations flew and rumors spread, you did something radical. You stayed quiet, not because you had nothing to say, but because you knew the right audience would understand without explanation, and the wrong audience wouldn't believe you anyway. This drove people crazy. In a culture addicted to instant responses and public statements, your silence was deafening. It forced everyone to sit with their own assumptions. It made them question their narratives. Your refusal to defend yourself wasn't weakness. It was confidence. You trusted that time would reveal what words never could, and you were right. As days passed, the truth started emerging on its own. Inconsistencies in their stories became obvious. Your character, proven through years of action, spoke for itself. You taught everyone watching that some battles are won not by fighting, but by refusing to participate in the circus. The people who truly know you didn't need an explanation, and the people determined to misunderstand, you wouldn't accept one anyway. So you saved your energy and let reality do the heavy lifting. Number 5, you converted pain into wisdom instead of bitterness. You converted pain into wisdom instead of bitterness. This is precisely where you separated yourself from 99% of people who go through similar situations. You took the hurt, the betrayal, the profound injustice, and instead of letting it poison your entire system, you alchemized it into pure understanding. You asked the hard questions that most people avoid. What is this really teaching me? What patterns am I seeing repeat themselves? How can this experience refine rather than define me? What boundaries did I ignore that I now need to enforce? Toxicity contaminate your spirit. While they fully, you turn the experience into a mirror for self-examination, not self-destruction. You didn't become the villain in someone else's story. You became the hero in your own evolution. This level of emotional maturity is extraordinarily rare. Most people who go through what you went through emerge either completely hardened with walls 10 feet thick or utterly broken beyond recognition. You emerged evolved, transformed, upgraded. You extracted golden lessons from the darkest chaos. You identified what specifically triggered you and did the inner work to heal it. You recognized what boundaries you desperately needed and implemented them without apology. You understood what patterns you were unconsciously repeating and broke them intentionally. The same situation that was specifically designed to diminish you actually expanded your entire consciousness. Think about that paradox. What they meant for your destruction became the catalyst for your reconstruction. That is the mark of a truly resilient soul. That is the signature of someone operating on a completely different frequency. Instead of arguing about who you are, you simply became more of who you are meant to be. You didn't waste time defending your character. You invested that energy into developing it. While they were busy talking about you, you were busy transforming. You leveled up quietly, you improved yourself silently, and when people looked again, you were no longer the person they thought they could break. You were stronger, wiser, more grounded. This is the revenge they never saw coming. Not retaliation, but elevation. Your growth became the testimony that silenced every lie. Because how do you argue with visible transformation? How do you deny someone's progress when it is right in front of you? You showed that the best response to being underestimated is becoming undeniable, and you did exactly that. Number 7. You protected your energy like it was sacred currency. You realized early that not every battle deserves your attention. Some fights are designed specifically to drain you, distract you, and keep you operating below your potential. So you made a choice: preserve your peace at all costs. You stopped explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You stopped trying to prove your worth to those who had already decided you were worthless. You guarded your emotional and mental space with fierce intentionality. This confused people who expected you to engage. They threw bait and you didn't bite. They created drama and you didn't show up. Your absence from their chaos was more powerful than any presence could have been. You demonstrated that some situations don't need your participation to resolve. Sometimes the most strategic move is to simply remove yourself and let the dysfunction collapse under its own weight. Number 8. You maintained your humanity while others lost theirs. Here is what really left people speechless. You stayed kind. Even when you had every reason to become cruel, you chose compassion. Even when you could have retaliated, you chose restraint. You didn't let their inhumanity strip away your humanity. This doesn't mean you became a doormat. It means you refused to become what hurt you. You showed that strength isn't about hardening your heart. It is about keeping it open while setting firm boundaries. You proved you could be soft and still unbreakable, gentle and still powerful. Your humanity became your greatest weapon because it revealed their lack of it. While they were operating from ego, you were operating from soul. The difference was undeniable. Number 9, you turned their judgment into your fuel. Every doubt they expressed, every criticism they hurled, every prediction of your failure became motivation. You didn't let their opinions shrink you. You let them sharpen you. You took the energy of their negativity and converted it into determination. This is the ultimate power move, using the very thing meant to destroy you as the foundation for your comeback. They thought their words would bury you. Instead, those words became the fertilizer for your growth. You showed that external judgment only has power if you internalize it. and you refused to give it that power. Number 10, you made the universe your defense attorney. While they were busy constructing narratives and building cases against you, you did something radical. You trusted divine timing. You didn't run around trying to clear your name because you understood that truth doesn't need a publicist. It just needs patience. You let time reveal what tongues tried to conceal. You placed your faith in something bigger than human opinion. And slowly, inevitably, the truth started surfacing. What looked like your downfall began turning into their undoing, not because you orchestrated it, but because universal law doesn't fail. You aligned yourself with integrity, and integrity has its own gravitational pull. People are witnessing it now, the lies collapsing, the masks falling, the truth emerging. And you never had to say a word, the universe spoke for you. Number 11, you redefined what victory actually looks like. You reached a level of consciousness where winning stopped being about proving yourself right and started being about protecting your peace. You realized that some victories don't come with applause. They come with quiet knowing. They come with internal alignment. They come with the freedom of no longer needing external validation. While everyone expected you to fight for recognition, you simply walked away into your own evolution. And that decision unsettled people more than any confrontation could. You showed that sometimes the most powerful win is graduating from the need to win at all. You didn't dominate your enemies, you outgrew them. That is transcendence. Number 12, you became living proof that grace defeats chaos. In the end, what truly astonished people wasn't just what you went through, it was how you went through it. You faced betrayal without becoming bitter. You endured lies without losing your truth. You walked through chaos without losing your center. You didn't just survive a toxic situation. You transformed it into a testimony. You became evidence that composure is more powerful than retaliation, that patience outlasts propaganda, that character withstands crisis. What they meant to destroy you actually refined you. Every insult became initiation. Every lie revealed your light. You turned suffering into sacred wisdom. And now the same people who misjudged you are learning from your example. You didn't need revenge. You became the proof that divine order always restores balance. Number 13, you demonstrated that strength doesn't require an audience. You demonstrated that strength doesn't require an audience. One of the most remarkable things about your journey was how private you kept your process. While others broadcast every emotion, document every struggle, and perform their pain for validation, you chose a different path entirely. You understood that real transformation doesn't need witnesses. It needs commitment. You didn't post cryptic messages on social media fishing for sympathy. You didn't air your grievances publicly to gather support. You didn't perform your healing for applause. You simply did the work in silence, in private, in the sacred space between you and your truth. This confused people who are addicted to external validation. They couldn't understand how you were processing such intensity without constant commentary. But that is exactly why your transformation was so authentic. It wasn't performed. It wasn't curated for consumption. It was raw, real, and entirely yours. You proved that the strongest battles are often fought in silence, that the deepest healing happens behind closed doors, and that true growth doesn't require an audience to be valid. When you finally emerged from that dark chapter, people could see the change immediately. Not because you announced it, but because you embodied it. Your energy shifted, your presence deepened, your wisdom expanded, and all of it happened without a single public declaration. That is the kind of strength that commands respect without demanding it. Number 14, you redefined what it means to protect yourself. You redefined what it means to protect yourself. Most people think protection means building walls, becoming defensive, or striking first. But you showed a completely different approach. You protected yourself by becoming unavailable to dysfunction. You didn't build walls. You built standards. You didn't become defensive. You became discerning. You didn't strike first. You simply removed yourself from the equation entirely. This is advanced spiritual warfare. You understood that the best way to win a toxic battle is to not show up for it at all. You stopped defending yourself against accusations because you realized that self-respect doesn't require approval from people operating from chaos. You stopped explaining yourself to people who were committed to misunderstanding you because you recognized that clarity is wasted on those who prefer confusion. You protected your peace by refusing to disturb it for people who didn't value it. You protected your energy by investing it only in spaces that honored it. You protected your time by no longer giving it to situations that disrespected it. This wasn't about being cold or disconnected. This was about being intentional and awake. You taught everyone watching that self-protection isn't aggression. It is wisdom. It is knowing when to engage and when to exit. It is understanding that not every invitation to chaos deserves your attendance. You became a masterclass in boundaries without being harsh, in distance without being cruel, in protection without being paranoid. So stand tall in your light, chosen one. Stand impossibly tall. You have graduated from needing validation to being living verification that truth, timing, and integrity are absolutely undefeated. You have proven that the universe doesn't make mistakes when it chooses who to elevate and who to expose. Your story has become a spiritual manual for anyone who doesn't know how to rise with grace when dragged through darkness. You have become the blueprint for maintaining dignity in undignified situations. You have shown that it is possible to walk through hell and come out not just alive, but elevated, not just surviving, but thriving. Not just intact, but improved. You have turned pain into purpose that inspires others. You have transformed chaos into clarity that guides lost souls. You have converted humiliation into higher ground that proves ascension is always possible. You didn't lose anything valuable in that situation. You revealed everything essential about who you truly are beneath the surface, beneath the performance, beneath the mask. Here is what they will never tell you. But you need to know. Your composure during that crisis changed lives you will never even meet. Someone watched how you handled that disaster and decided to handle their own situation differently. Someone saw your grace under fire and chose grace over retaliation in their own battle. Someone witnessed your silent strength and found their own voice to stay quiet when chaos demanded noise. Your journey isn't just yours anymore. It has become proof for everyone watching that integrity still wins in the end, that truth still prevails despite all the lies, and that no situation, no matter how disgusting or designed to destroy you, can stop someone who absolutely refuses to compromise their character for temporary satisfaction. If this message resonated deeply with your soul, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because we are building a community of people who choose evolution over revenge. Hit that like button if you have ever had to stay calm when everything around you is falling apart. And drop a comment below sharing your own story of handling toxic situations with grace. Or simply comment, "I stayed standing," if this spoke to where you are right now. And here is the important part. Watch this video until the very end, because sometimes the breakthrough you need is hidden in the final words. Sometimes the confirmation you have been seeking is waiting in the last sentence. Sometimes the permission you have been looking for to finally let go and move forward comes in the closing moments. Your journey matters. Your composure mattered. Your decision to stay true to yourself when lies surrounded you mattered more than you know. You are living proof that staying human in an inhuman world is a revolution in itself. You are walking evidence that grace is stronger than grudges, that patience is more powerful than pride, and that character always defeats chaos in the end. Stay blessed, stay elevated, and remember this truth. Your composure during that crisis wasn't just your greatest defense, it was your greatest comeback. And now everyone who doubted you is forced to respect you, not because you demanded it, but because you demonstrated it. Not because you fought for it, but because you embodied it. Welcome to your next chapter, chosen one. You have earned it.